Or are you inclined to roll back the zones that are already being enforced during those extended hours?
I am open to extending meters in certain business corridors. I do know that there's been some issues with particularly the janitors union around extended meters downtown, because a lot of the night shift janitors are actually disproportionately impacted by the extended hours on the meters. So while I'm open to a lot of proposals, especially because we want to invest in transit, we want to invest in Muni, and we want to make sure that people are getting out of their cars and onto our buses. So this is one source of revenue. But I think that it's really important to kind of look at every different corridor and neighborhood in a different way. One I don't support is actually the morning meters. The meters have actually been extended from 9 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I'm not really quite sure what group this really impacts, but residents that live in neighborhoods, forcing them to get up just earlier to go to work. But I do think that we need to be open to all revenue measures. I do know that a lot of businesses have talked about how the increases in meter fees have affected the number of customers that come into their stores and how long they're there. So that's why this is an issue that I would want to talk to multiple partners with before I make a decision.
Jim, same question?
Same question?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, we're a transit-first city. And the city made that commitment a long time ago. And we seem to be constantly putting the burden to pay for that on the riders who use the service. That is regressive, because the more expensive the service becomes, the less efficient the service becomes, the fewer people ride the system. So obviously we need to find other ways to pay for it. I certainly do support increasing the time that meters are in use, although I just think on Sunday is probably a mistake. We need at least one day of rest from having to pay for those meters. I particularly do favor it in the neighborhood commercial corridors, because in general I think businesses prefer if you get a good turnover of cars. To have available parking and good turnover. So in that sense, I particularly support neighborhood commercial.
Ms. Theresa?
I do not. I've actually talked to businesses and actually talked to people who have stores on these business corridors, and they believe emphatically that it will impact their business. They believe emphatically that they need to be able to have some evening hours, 6 to 8, 6 to 9, where people can come and shop without having to worry about the meters, particularly restaurants. They want to be able to have some time. So we can't continue every time we have a deficit, every time we need money, we can't continue to pile things on small businesses. It's happening every time. The hotel tax is an example. Ultimately, it impacts small businesses when Oracle and other companies stop coming here for conventions because it costs more than New York City. We need to quit piling things on small businesses, and I absolutely are against raising the meter times. I'm also against installing meters in Golden Gate Park. I think that is a very, very poorly thought through proposal, and I think we need to oppose that any way we can.
I think that what we need to do is to realize that we have got to pay for our infrastructure of rebuilding our roads and keeping the transportation and transit systems that we have running. We have a transit-first policy in the city, so when we talk about increasing parking hours in the meters, I want to talk with the businesses who are going to be affected and see what the actual effect is that people think that they're going to do. I think that we need to look at doing something like this only in conjunction with smarter meters that actually allow people to use their credit card and remind them when they're actually out of time, to give the people shopping in the stores an opportunity to actually buy their cell phone or whatever means to actually extend the time. I also have concerns about how it affects the workforce that actually work during overnight hours, that aren't able to take BART in and actually have to drive in because BART services don't come in late. So I think what we would do instead is actually get together with all the businesses, including the entertainment venues, and actually look at a comprehensive transit policy to encourage people to take BART, to take transit, to use the shuttle system more to actually service some of the nighttime venues. I also think that when we talk about a transit fee to cover the cost of our infrastructure for roads, etc., we have to look at extending the transit impact development area to not just be in one area, but to actually be spread out over the whole city so that we all participate. And I think that's something so that we could look at actually creating the revenue to fund our infrastructure. So, thank you.
I would not extend it, and I would advocate for it to be rolled back until every neighborhood has access to residential permits and that businesses have designated delivery times.